A few months ago, I tried playing House Flipper during a long weekend. I wanted to renovate a virtual bedroom. By the end of a session, I'd cleaned maybe 2 rooms and felt like I'd been on a boat. House Flipper has been out since 2018. It has a sequel-themed DLC for every conceivable interior design fantasy and millions of players. Its motion sickness problem has been in the Steam forums since launch. The second game shipped with an FOV slider buried under the wrong settings menu that doesn't fully fix it anyway. The rest of the solutions were written by players, for players, because nobody else was going to do it. I kept trying anyway. My coping strategy was binging Bridgerton the whole time, so I wouldn't be looking at my Steam Deck for more than 30 seconds at a time. That's the kind of overhead I'm talking about. In my day job, I'm a UX designer. That means I spend my 9 to 5 figuring out why software frustrates people. And lately, my cozy game library has been giving me a lot of material. Don't get me wrong, I love cozy games. If you follow this channel or use Cozy Games DB, you know I spend an absurd amount of time with them. But I keep running into a frustrating pattern. Games that promise to help you relax but end up making your brain and your body work incredibly hard just to play them. Cozy Games spent years recruiting the players that mainstream gaming left behind, the ones who felt other genres were too fast, too stressful, or not for them. And then, the genre expected those exact players to show up with the physical and mental tolerance of a competitive esports athlete. The cozy genre built its entire identity around inclusion. It became the actual selling point. These games went after people who were burnt out, anxious, or overwhelmed. People who bounced off everything else because it felt like it was built for someone else. And it worked. The genre exploded. But there is a massive difference between telling people they are welcome and actually designing a game with their needs in mind. Right now, cozy games are much better at the marketing than the execution. Take my time at Sandrock. I have over 100 hours in this game, but it took me 3 separate tries just to get past the intro. The first time, motion sickness got me before I even finished the opening dialogue. The camera has this slight, slippery drift when you turn, and it immediately made me dizzy. Eventually, I found a Reddit thread where someone had figured out which settings to adjust. I lowered the camera sensitivity, killed the motion blur, and turned down the camera shake. It helped enough to keep going. But when I see players digging through internet forums just to make a game playable, it drives me a little crazy. These fixes are well known, and they are not technically difficult. FOV sliders, head bobbing toggles, motion blur toggles. Documented solutions that have been around for years. The argument you always hear is that it comes down to time and budget. Studios have to make calls. This isn't unique to cozy games. Massive, billion-dollar mainstream studios skip these options all the time. But budget isn't the excuse here. Mail time was made by one person. And it shipped with a full accessibility page on the developer's own website, explaining every camera setting in plain language, what it does, who it helps, what to try first. Not a Steam forum thread written by a player who figured it out themselves. Documentation from the person who built the game before you even opened it. Power Wash Simulator did something similar. The default control scheme moves the camera like a first-person shooter while you aim the washer, which is exactly the kind of constant camera movement that sends people to go lie down. The developers ran a player survey specifically about motion sickness, built a solution called Aim Mode that locks the camera while you spray, and shipped it. They described it as addressing one of the biggest barriers to a significant portion of their players. House Flipper has had 2 games and 8 years. It is still sending players to Steam forum threads. The physical barrier is only half the problem. Once I finally fixed the camera in Sandrock, I hit the crafting system. The crafting in Sandrock is genuinely engaging once you understand it. That's not the complaint. The complaint is that the game hands you 6 interlocking dependency chains before it has given you a reliable way to track any of them. The information is technically there, but it's buried inside nested menus with text so small you're guaranteed a headache. In design, we call this cognitive load, the mental energy required to use a system. When a game buries essential data, it creates information friction. And this is where it gets interesting, Because information friction is not the same thing as complexity. Complexity is fine. Complexity is actually the point. What you want from a crafting game is to feel like you're solving something. What you don't want is to spend 40 minutes reconstructing the problem from scratch because the interface couldn't hold it for you. I spent a solid hour running around Sandrock, forgot what I was looking for, and closed the game. I only came back months later with the community wiki open on my phone. The wiki shouldn't be the accessibility feature. Think about why games like Stardew Valley or Wildflowers become ultimate comfort games. You could skip every tutorial and you'd still intuitively know what to do. The structure is clear, the interface surfaces exactly what you need, right when you need it, without burying it. When the layout is intuitive, your cognitive load drops to almost nothing. There is a huge difference between a game being low stakes, meaning you can't die, and a game being low overhead, meaning you don't have to study for it. Research on motion sickness in gaming puts the affected player population somewhere between a third and well over half, depending on the game and how long you play it. And a massive portion of the cozy audience specifically deals with things like anxiety, ADHD, or chronic fatigue. These players are the literal core demographic of the genre. Mainstream gaming ignores these details all the time, but mainstream gaming never promised you a soft landing. Cozy games did. Here's what actually bothers me. When a cozy game gives you motion sickness, the conversation immediately becomes about what you can do about it. Adjust your FOV, lower your sensitivity, take breaks. Look up the forums. It gets treated like a you problem, like your body is the bug that needs patching. Same with cognitive load. If you can't parse a crafting system that reads like a tax document, maybe you just need to pay more attention. Some studios don't try at all. Some try and get it wrong. A few, the Mail Times and the Power Wash simulators, actually think it through from the start. When a game makes you sick, or buries its own mechanics under 6 layers of menus, that's not on you. That's a studio deciding your experience wasn't worth the time it would have taken to fix it. And for a genre that built its whole identity on being for everyone, that's a pretty strange hill to die on.